Hello, I'm EnterElysium, and today Double Fine are releasing Spacebase DF9 in a state which is, compared to their development plan, completely unfinished. So Double Fine, a lot of you probably know them. It's kind of one of these big indie devs who a lot of people fanboy about. I personally don't understand it, and I'll get into that later, but a lot of people kind of fanboy about them. Now, Spacebase DF9 is a game they announced last year. I did a small video on it, and they basically were saying, look, it's early access title, you know, buy in now. There's not much gameplay currently, but there'll be this massive laundry list of things that we'll add. And it, you know, if they added all the things to the laundry list, it sounded like a kind of cool game. Basically, it's an isometric game. You build your space station, you grow your space station, you defend your space station. Make sense? However, they are releasing it soon. They've just said, oh, we're releasing it. It's going to be released in October. And it's going to have a small tutorial added and a lot of modding support added. And there you go! But it doesn't have the majority of the features that they had on their development plan, which says to me that, oh no, we're in trouble, let's get rid of this. It's basically pushing it out the door because they don't have the time or the money or the expertise to do what they want to do with it. At least they are adding modding support, so they're like, well, the modders can finish the job. But that doesn't absolve them. It's bad. It's not as bad as if they hadn't included modding support, but it's still terrible practice because you're expecting modders to finish off something that people paid you to do. Now, in my video, I did actually call this. Now, Double Fine did a Kickstarter a long time ago for Double Fine Adventures. They wanted $400,000. They got 3.3 million. So you might say, oh, you know, that's 8.5 times what they wanted. Where's the game? It's probably been completed. It's probably amazing. We probably know all about it. Well, no. They also then had financial problems because apparently 3.3 million isn't enough to make a game when you asked for 400,000, in which case you derped up your Kickstarter. You didn't explain it properly. You gave the wrong number. So they released it on Steam Early Access as they didn't release it, sorry, they wanted money before they released it on Steam Early Access. And then they started releasing it episodically. So there is episode 1 up now, I believe, and that stinks to me of triple dipping because you failed at your first dip despite the fact you got 8.5 times what you were asking for. I'm sorry, but the first part alone, if you get a Kickstarter and you say we need this amount of money, you get 8.5 times that amount of money, and you still cannot fulfill your initial promise of delivering this game or making this game, then you have a massive financial incompetency, and I don't see why that we should give you any more money sight unseen. Which is what happened with Spacebase DF9, is that they release it early access and like, look, it's really not finished at the moment, it's very bare bones, but give us money and it'll get there. Which it hasn't done, and they're pushing it out the door because they still, again, can't seem to manage stuff, I assume, for financial reasons. It's exactly what I said in my video on Spacebase DF9. I said, based on Double Fine Adventure sort of history of that game, I don't see why they're taking on existing commitments when they've already proved that they're having financial issues. And I was right. I hate being proved right about this sort of thing, especially when it's a game which, you know, could be kind of amusing, building your space station in space, defending it, kind of, you know, it's a cool concept. But it's basically being released completely unfinished. They can stamp up 1.0 on the box all they want, but it is an unfinished game if you compare it anywhere near the development plan. Which, incidentally, was taken off their website a few months ago, which, again, says that they were planning to push it out the door a few months ago. And they were like, oh, we need to quickly tie the loose ends up. This is the problem with early access games. When you buy an early access game, you buy it for what it is currently. The only people who shouldn't be doing that are people who need to cover them for you, like me. And if you insist on buying it based on what it will be, look at the company, look at their history, look at previous games they've done, look if the games are similar to this game, look if they're trying to do any crazy new stuff. History of Double Fine is unfortunately Double Fine Adventures recently, which is massively incompetently managed financially. Why did anyone put money in for Spacebase DF9? Well, because it was on Steam and it looked pretty. Remember, early access games. Nope. Or ask, look at material. Okay? There are a couple of examples of games that are actually worth it. Prison Architect, RimWorld. Those might be worth it depending on, you know, what money's worth to you, but, you know, for me, I'd say they're worth it. But bloody hell, do your research, people, please! And stop fanboying about Double Fine. They've proved they're anti-consumer by being massively financially incompetent. At least they're trying to make up for it by including modding support, which they didn't have to do. But at least admit that you failed rather than putting a 1.0 on the box and going, it's finished! Because no, that's just bullshit. And I do not like bullshit. I've been EnterElysium. If you've liked the episode, please leave a like, and if you're not subscribed, please do consider subscribing. Stay shiny.